You wouldn't let somebody else tell you how to spend my money. And they paid you back. You talked about multiculturalism, and yet not a one of you is in partnership with a Korean. Not one of you is in partnership with an Arab. Not one of you is in partnership with white folk. Where are the multicultural businesses? Where are the multicultural economic situations? What are you talking about, multiculturalism? Where is it? They laid it on you. And yet in Blueprint for Black Power, I talk very straightforwardly about the Korean organizations. I named the presidents. We are calling names here, ladies and gentlemen. And they are called the Korean Producers Association, the Korean Grocers Association, the Koreans of Greater New York Association. It has convinced us that thinking conceptually is a non-African mode of thought. Somebody comes telling us that we are a non-linear people, that we are spiritual and intuitive, and that thinking logically and thinking analytically and thinking conceptually is somehow the property of white folk. God gave you two sides to your doggone brain. And one brain in one side is for intuition, one side is for holistic thinking, one side is for spiritual thinking. Yes, but you got another side. That's that left side that is the side of logic, that is the side that uses symbols, that is the side that uses analysis. God gave you two sides. He gave you a logical side and an intuitive side. Don't let any joker tell you that your only role is to be intuitive and to be people who can only estimate and approximate. How can you look at the great pyramids of Egypt and the great mathematics and then turn around and say that you are only a spiritual and intuitive people? You've got to be crazy. Let me tell you, and this is one of the problems I want to talk about when I talk about nationalists. Be careful that in your effort to separate yourself from white folk, you don't wrap white stereotypes in kente cloth. Okay? And this is happening to a lot of us. The same stereotypes that these people have laid on us, that we can't think straight, we can't think logically, we are emotionally oriented. You must become a people who can analyze words. You must become a people with a vast vocabulary. You must become a people who can process the highest words and the most difficult words rapidly, because these are the people who are opposing you and who intend to bring your life to an end. Be careful. Let me tell you quickly what these institutions will do for you. You think they're just collections of intellectuals thinking, right? Forget it. Let's look at what the Ford Foundation did here when they decided to transform the nature of social science and the way social science research was done. And they decided they would recreate the whole nature of scientific research, social science research in the universities. They created what they call a foreign area fellowship program. And they financed it. They granted over $23 million to researching of Indians and the stealing of their lands. So that the economic course essentially is a course in how the booty is going to be divided among American people. When you look at the real world, you note that people establish themselves economically first by taking over economic resources and viable resources. That's it. You study your own history. How did the Empire of Mali come into being? How did Ghana come into being? How did Songhai come into being? Struggles over what? Gold and salt, and who won, and over trade routes and other things, and people went to war and took those things from one and another, and those who gained control over them then built empires and nations and so forth as a basis of that. Not just studying economics 101 and business administration. But you got to learn real history. You got to learn a history that goes beyond just the celebration of African heroes and the celebration of African culture. You got to learn how it's really done in the world. So these people now, many former fellows have added to our knowledge of the non-Western world through the publications of the results of research. Altogether, they have published some 373 books, over 3,000 articles, and short monographs. Moreover, they have edited or contributed to another 516 volumes. This is how you change minds. What is going on with Henry Louis Gates? What is going on with Cornel West? Who says that black leaders, serious black leaders, must be race transcending? The hell you going to be a serious black leader and be race transcending? But that's the dilemma of the assimilationists. They want race and not race at the same time. They want to organize black people based on blackness so that they can get rid of blackness. They want to use your black interests, your black feelings, and your black identity to advance their program so they can tell you later that blackness does not matter, that color has nothing to do with it. We are better off when we don't even refer to ourselves as black.